Little now recording. It's live. We're back, everybody. Welcome to all you viewers out there. And if you're watching the replay, welcome to you as well. Don't forget, give us a little love. Show that click, like, heart, whatever it takes on whatever you're watching. It helps us with the algorithm. Better yet, make sure you're sharing. So, Wendy, it's great to see you again. How are you doing today?
Oh, doing awesome. Doing awesome. Getting
Good
warmer
deal.
weather into the summer, baseball.
I know. Tennessee is crazy because it goes literally from like fall to summer. Like, bam, here you go.
We
80
skip,
plus,
like,
80 plus.
Beautiful 70s, don't we?
Yeah. Well, I think there was like that one day, right? But yeah, it's kind of crazy. So, well, good deal today. So what, I got a lot of things popping in my head, but what do you have going on in your brain as far as the financial stuff on what we should be sharing out there?
Yeah. So, I know you sometimes maybe don't want to like go all out and talk about all this stuff. However, there's a lot of people that are asking like what to do, like to prepare just in case stuff goes crazy, right? Like,
okay.
I know you have a little bit of prepper in you, maybe, right?
What's the number one rule of Fight Club? Don't talk about Fight Club, but okay. No, I get it. I actually had someone the other day come up to me and ask about, hey, this is kind of getting a little unruly out there. What do you think we should be doing? So that's actually a good topic. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So kind of what do you need to do to financially prepare for the X factor out there? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get into it.
All right, cool. So that's what we're going to talk about today, folks. We are going to talk about what you should be doing to financially prepare. Do me a favor, click that little like, subscribe button, share it with your friends. And if you're watching this, let your friends know. We're going to get started here in just a second. Jump on and watch us live here in a few seconds. And we're back. So yeah, let's talk about it. So what I want to kind of begin by prefacing that you can go crazy with quote unquote prepping. My whole thing is I'm always like the eternal Boy Scout, right? Be prepared.
Yeah. And
it's not something where and you can go down a dark hole with this stuff, a dark rabbit hole, right? With regards to, the end of the world, doomsday, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that National Geographic show Preppers, there's some extreme people on there. My whole thing is plan for the worst, hope for the best, right? And that includes your financial stuff too. And you see a lot of this stuff out there. And, like I said, or like you said, you kind of outed me a little bit with regards to being connected to all that stuff. There are some extreme people out there when it comes to expectations. I'm not talking just what they're doing to prepare, but the expectations. I don't see the United States, doom and gloom collapsing and, it's Mad Max and you're cruising around in leather chaps with your dog in a shotgun. I don't see it happening like that at all. I think there are going to be some very tough financial times in the very near future. You've got a lot of different things going on. Fed now, we talked about that a few weeks ago, right? With digital currencies coming, it's slated for, December. You've got every country out there committed to it. So it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. We've got high inflation, unemployment. And I know a lot of people, typically on the left side, there's a lot of jobs being created. I'm sorry, you can't replace a manufacturing job where you're making good money, feeding a family, or an executive job where you're making six figures with a job at McDonald's or something like that, making an hourly wage. It's just not the same. So a job is not a job, right? It's not equal. Right. So that's why you see people now doing 2 or 3 jobs and things like that. So, again, I think we've got some rougher times ahead. So what do you do? I mean, what are your specific concerns on that stuff?
Yeah. And before getting into that, I do want to kind of come off of what you said a little bit. That we talked to some people that are like, I don't want to even do anything with my money because the money's going to be worth nothing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, and it's like, well, what if what you think is going to happen doesn't happen, right? Then you're not prepared the other direction, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I want to say about you that you bring a lot of balance, and that's why I think you're credible to listen to. You bring a lot of balance with that. And here's what I would do, like, to safely prepare if things go to crap, but also not neglect what we need to be doing should things still continue on the way they have and history repeat itself like it has for the last.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? And you see it, like I said, that's what I was kind of alluding to with, you see some extremists that, okay, I want to go dig and live in a hole in the ground and, totally enclose and encapsulate myself. It's like, okay, well, you do all that, you spend all that money and everything else, and it doesn't happen, then you're hosed, right? Because you still have to retire. And that's the thing. You look at what happened, I'm a Gen Xer, you're a Gen Xer. So we saw, the Soviet Union collapse, right? And then what happened afterward. And that's a great example of when an empire, which, the United States is an empire, right? It's, call it what you will, but historically referred to as an empire. It's collapsing, and that's all those are cyclical. Before us, it was the English, during the British Empire. The sun never sets on the British Empire. Before the British, there were the Dutch, right? And so there's always been these empires. They've come and gone. I mean, look at the Mayan and the Incas, right? Those were huge empires in their own right, in their own day, and they're gone, no longer to be found. What happened? So, in modern society, you don't see like I said, the whole Mad Max movie, that post-apocalyptic. That movie, what was it? The Road with Viggo Mortensen in it. That was a good movie. Good story, but it's not reality.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So what'll happen is the dollar will erode and things like that. But the bottom line, there are things that you can do with or that's in alignment with your retirement planning and everything else today, right? And the first thing I always coach people, you look at the economy today. Is it a little rougher than it was 3 years ago? Yeah. You had a different philosophy come in when Biden was elected, right? Agree with it, disagree with it. It doesn't really matter because it's your reality, right? And so what can you do to help plan and prepare that? Well, number one, if you're still employed, you're still making money, look at what you're spending that money on. You know that a storm is coming, right? There's a storm coming down the horizon. What can you do to prepare for that storm? Well, number one is stack cash. Okay. And I don't mean stacking cash like literal bills in your shoebox on your bed. But you should look at stacking cash in 3 different ways. Number one is short term, right? Number two, and part of that short term, number two is on hand. And number 3 is long term, which, that's what we talk about every day. That's that wealth preparation and things like that. But you want to stack as much cash as you can.
Right.
Okay. What do I mean by short term? Well, that's the emergency fund. You've heard us talk about that time and time again, right? Car breaks down, family emergency, you get laid off. Well, those bills are still going to keep coming in. Okay. And so you want to stack that cash. Number 2 is the on-hand stuff. And, I don't know if you want to jump in on that. We've talked about that a bunch.
Yeah. Well, I've asked you, like, how much cash should I have on hand in case, right? And one thing a while ago you had told me to do is keep some in your glove box, keep some in your safe at home, right? And so that's what I do a little bit in my glove box, like a little bit. Like if my car got stolen, I would be okay, right?
Yeah.
or car got broken into, which happens around here. But that in case of emergency of like breaking down on the side of the road and your cards don't work, I don't know, whatever. And then like in the house, right? So one of the things we talked about, we might have even said this on a show a couple of weeks ago, but if the banks are shut down, I think when we were talking about that bank shut down, or they limit how much money you can pull out each week or each
and that would be the whole thing about all the banks are going to shut down, all these runs. Folks, those are scare tactics. And a lot of people, keep in mind a lot of these, these prepper communities and things like that. It's funny, they'll tell you all this stuff, and then all of a sudden they've got this link, this affiliate link that they share with you on, hey, here's how you solve that, right? And so it's one of those things that, okay, so I see what you're doing here, but there's still a lot of valuable information, and you still see the storms, clouds on the horizon. You should still be preparing. So going back to that, short-term money, I recommend $50, $100 keep in your car, right? Or even a $20 bill. Why? how many times have you run out of the house, forgot your purse, forgot your wallet or whatever, get somewhere and say, oh crap, I don't have any cash on me.
Mhm.
That's why. Okay. Yeah. It's not going to be like that $20 is going to get me home from, Key West back to Nashville, Tennessee. No, but if you, just have a little cash on hand there, but having some cash in your house in a safe, not in a shoebox, right? Where you've got 500, $1,000, $2,000 cash on hand. Why? Because this has happened in countries whenever there's a bank issue or things like that, or CDC, there's some scary stuff coming about the CBDC, that digital currency we talked about, but they may limit what you can pull out from the banks. Especially that the dollar, the de-dollarization is happening. The dollars are going to get a little tighter. So what happens if they put a restriction on what's going on at the ATM? Well, if you still need to have XYZ, groceries, whatever, you don't want to be without. So that's where that extra cash on hand can kind of buffer that and give you a little extra buying time. So that's your short-term money. Your longer-term money, that's a wealth strategy, right? You want to be stacking as much stuff in there. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, okay, I need to increase my 401k. I'm not talking about in the market. Okay, I'm not talking about your 401k. There are other things out there and we've talked about those too, where you can get market returns, right? And have no loss in a down market. Okay, right. That exists. It's existed since the early 90s. If you don't know about it, you need to watch some of our shows, or better yet, just reach out to us and we'll walk you through specifically on what that can do for you. But those are ways to, again, stack cash. Because again, the dollar bill is not going to go away. It may be replaced.
Right.
But what they're going to do is say, okay, Wendy, for every dollar you have, you now get $1 in digital currency. So if money's good right now, you're able to make it, let's stack as much as you can. Right. So that way, if a transition happens, you're going to transition from one currency to another, right? Right. So number one is stack cash. Number two is pay off that debt. Pay off your debt. Yeah. Why do you think that is so important?
Well, because one, the annual percentage rates, right? They can change those on you. And,
it's on a variable. Yeah.
You can get to the point where you can't afford even minimum payments on your debt. And it's, that's is staying with you. That's if for me, I know if things get crazy, the debt is it's like a weight around your neck, and it's ties up your money, right? If you want your money working for you, you got to get it out of pulling interest away from you and start earning interest to you, right?
That's a great analogy. Yeah, that's a great example. And that's the thing. I mean, the fixed rate, like I've got a fixed rate credit card that I love. It's at 9% fixed. I've had it forever. But one of the things that happened in 08, and a lot of millennials were too young to recognize this. A lot of the banks, including my credit card that I have the 9% rate on, all of a sudden when credit got tight, everybody started getting notifications from their banks that your credit line has been cut down. It didn't matter what your credit score was. They wanted to mitigate or, eliminate some of their risks, some of their exposures. So they cut everybody's credit lines on the credit cards. So, for example, that card, I think my limit on it was like $40,000, which I know that's the limit. That's not what the balance was. But I got a notice from them. They cut it down to 15, from 40 to 15,000. I didn't owe anything on the card.
Right.
But all of a sudden that can have a detrimental effect. If you did owe something on that card, that's going to negatively impact your credit, because all of a sudden your credit availability goes way down, things like that. But a lot of people use credit cards for emergency funds, things like that. Going back to the other thing that you said, interest rates could increase. Most people's credit cards are on what's called a variable interest rate. And so as those interest rates go up, and they have been consistently now, that cost is going to go up to you. So every month you may be paying, $200 towards that credit card bill, but less and less of it is actually going to principal, and it's just going out the window to banks. And, with a shaky economy comes questionable job security. So again, getting those, do the snowball. Okay. And if you need help on it, reach out to Wendy, reach out to myself. We can show you how to do a snowball and really get out of that debt pretty quickly. It's a lot easier than you think. It just needs, the right examples and the right coaching. So, number two is to get out of that debt. And number three, and we just did a show on this a couple of weeks ago, gold and silver. Not everything into gold and silver. Okay. Not everything, but you should have some just as a store of buying power. I don't personally, I don't see gold and silver as a quote unquote investment. And we're not trying to give you guys investment advice on this. We're trying to give you money move advice, right? Financial advice. But, gold and silver, you use that as a store of power, buying power for that dollar bill today.
Right.
So I posted something out on social media a couple of weeks ago. Social Security, for example, 2000 to today has lost 36% of the buying power. The cost of living increases that they do, the cost of living adjustment, it's called COLA. Every year they kind of bump it up. Even with that, the Social Security buying power, if you were on Social Security in 2000 to 2023, has lost 36% of buying power. And that's where gold and silver. And the thing I love about silver is everybody can do it, right? You can go and buy a silver coin for $30. Buy a couple of those a month, and it may not seem like, oh, that's not going to be fast enough. Hey, it's something, right?
Yeah,
it's something. Right.
Yep.
I don't know.
And make it a habit. We talked about this already on that last episode, but making a habit of doing it regularly. So slowly you're building, that stash. So.
Yeah. And ideally you want to be in a 5 to 10% of your wealth should be in that area, right? That's going to, no more than 5 to 10% of your wealth should be in what's called precious metals. Everything else, you want to get those market returns we were talking about and things like that. And folks, I'm here to tell you, America will be around. It may look different. It may feel different, and it may not be the America from, my childhood. That's already changed forever. Where you could go and ride your bikes with your friends until the lights came on. That was always my rule. I don't know, hey, when the night lights come, with lamps,
street lights come on.
Yeah, street lights come on. Get your butt home.
Yeah.
And it was always get out of the house. What are you here for? So that's changed forever, and it will still continue to change. We become more of a global society. And quite frankly, we're headed for a storm. You've got AI, and we should probably do an episode on that. But, I saw a thing that AI is going to replace 300 million jobs globally, which there's only 330 million people in the United States. So, and again, it's going to be all over the world, not just the United States. So that's kind of scary. So again, it's all about get it while the getting's good. Okay. Stack cash, pay off debt, have a little gold and silver in the mix. But I'm here to tell you, stay on course. Don't go into, National Geographic. What was that show called? I can't remember what it was called. Where you go into prepper mode and you're going to move and join some, group off. And I'm not giving you a hard time if that's your thing. You do you. But again, I think for most of us out there, you want to have a plan in place to do a little financial prepping. And to be ready. So hopefully that helped. I think that.
No, I love it. It's good stuff. And it doesn't have to be complicated. That's what I love too.
Or scary. Again, don't go down the rabbit hole and don't spend all day watching those TikToks and Instagrams on that stuff. Because like I said, it can bring you down and make you think that the world's going to go off a cliff. And it's not. We've just got to get through this next storm. But I tell you what, if you don't do some things for you and your family, you're going to have a pretty rough time of it. So do a little now so you don't have to worry about it down the road. And if you need help with any of that, reach out to Wendy or myself, and we'd be more than happy to kind of get you on the right path, show you a couple of things that you can do to financially prep as well. So good stuff. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Again, every Tuesday here at 10 a.m. Central. Again, click that little like button, that heart, that subscribe, and please, please, please show some love. Share this on your social media stream. Tag us at Wendy Lee Online, John Cleaver. My tagline is at Black Swan Money. I'd love to see you guys out on Instagram showing some love. But and if you are watching this, don't forget you can go to blackswanmoney.com, catch all of our past episodes, and we'd love to hear from you. If there's an episode or a topic you want to discuss, put it out there, and we'll see if we can't get it on air for you. Everybody have a great week.